Okay, we're off.
The door opened, and Ace, Clover, and Seven jumped through it. 6, 7, 8. After exactly 9 seconds, the door closed noisily.
Alright, we should get moving too.
Huh?
Get moving?
Where are we going?
Everyone except Lotus seemed rather confused.
Well, it would be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it? Let me explain.
Oh, I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key.
We got the Jupiter key, we got the Earth key, and we also got a Saturn key card, I think. That's what we got.
Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake.
They were at the end of the hallway, lined up by individual hospital rooms.
And here's the Jupiter symbol on the keyhole.
Alright, Junpei, open it if you please.
Yeah, on it.
Junpei pulled the Jupiter key out of his pocket, slid into the keyhole. He twisted. With a nice sharp click, he felt the door unlock. Junpei sucked in a breath, held it, and opened the door as quietly as he could. Inside was exactly what he expected to see from the map of the ship's interior. They were in a tremendous hall, almost like a ballroom, with a massive central staircase.
Great, back to the beginning. You sure this is a good idea?
What do you mean?
Well, we already searched every inch of this room, didn't we?
We didn't search the Earth room, or we didn't use the Saturn key card. So no, Santa, we did not search everything. We didn't search everything.
I'm asking you if there's any reason we came back here.
Of course there isn't. Yeah, of course.
Of course there's a reason. Man, sometimes I can't tell if you're smart or just lucky.
Huh?
This.
Jimmy pulled 2 things out of his pockets.
The Saturn key card. And the Earth key? I'm lost.
Santa cocked his head to one side, like an inquisitive bird, and looked at them. After several long moments, during which it became apparent that Santa had no idea what the cards meant, June took pity on him.
Don't you remember, Santa? On C deck, where we are now, there was a big elevator behind the stairs, remember? And next to the elevator, there was a card reader with the Saturn symbol on it. And on A deck, on the door to the left, there was a keyhole with the Earth symbol on it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 keys that Junpei has?
Should let us use the elevator and the door on A deck. Huh.
Yes, that's right.
June smiled, pleased with itself. So did Santa.
All right, I got it. Let's get started then. What do you say we split into 2 teams? Lotus and I will search the Earth one, so you 2 can search Saturn, all right?
Sounds good. Then you guys should take this key.
Junpei handed the Earth key to Santa. They decided that the initial search should be brief.
We have no idea what's on the other side of these. So don't go too far. Just search for 10 minutes and come back.
Plan decided, the 2 teams split it up. Junpei and June headed to the elevators.
There's a card reader next to the left elevator.
Then let's try out the Saturn key card.
A light in the upper left corner blinked to life.
Great. It looks like it's working now.
All right, now how do I call the elevator?
There was a single button to the right of the elevator door.
Oh, it only has the upside-down triangle on it.
I guess there's no up button. Well, we may as well try pushing this one.
The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
It opened! Look, Junpei!
June's voice was excited, but Junpei could hear a tinge of anxiety.
Sweet! It opened! Let's get going.
He grinned at June and stepped forward to the elevator open door. As he was about to step foot in it, he felt a hand on his arm.
Wait!
What?
I'm not really, I just, oh gosh.
Junpei was at something of a loss. What could she possibly be so frightened of? June was probably afraid of being locked up alone with a boy, They could only go down. That's probably what it is. They can only go down. She was afraid because the only elevator button pointed down. That means, of course, that the elevator couldn't go any higher than the floor they were on. As he thought about it, Junpei realized he hadn't seen any elevators on A or B deck near the central staircase. All of which meant the elevator could only convey them to lower decks.
Come to think of it, the lower floor, D deck, is completely underwater.
I do like how they have the attention details like, oh, she was afraid to be locked away in the elevator with a boy.
An elevator heading to a submerged floor. That is pretty scary. Hey, wait a minute. This elevator came up from somewhere under us, right?
Well, yes, I guess it did. It didn't open right away after you pressed the button. There was a motor noise, like it was moving, and then it opened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, take a look inside.
Junpei jerked his head toward the interior of the elevator.
It's not wet at all, is it? The walls and even the floor are totally dry.
Oh, you're right. They are.
So there could be like an E deck or F deck or something that is not filled with water. She looked around the elevator, slightly embarrassed.
Well, let's test it.
Test it.
Yeah, watch this. Now, I'll just put one foot inside the elevator and look over at the buttons. Oh, there's only two, E and C. All right, I'll push E.
So they go to E deck, but they can also come back to C deck. That's good. That's good to know. They pushed the E button and jumped out of the elevator. The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of a motor as the elevator car moved down.
I think I can hear it opening on E deck.
Okay, that's done. Now I'll just press the button again.
A few moments later, the elevator returned.
Yep, not a single drop of water to be seen.
Otherwise, if the E deck was flooded, then you would have water in it.
See?
Junpei couldn't resist puffing out his chest just a little bit. June, however, is still confused.
What does that mean? How can E deck be safe if the D deck is full of water?
Well, here's what I think. The elevator shaft and E deck must be watertight and separated from wherever the ship's been punctured. Here, let me show you.
Pulled out his notebook and pen and sketched out a rough illustration.
I see. So is that why the ship hasn't sunk? The shape of the inside keeps it all from filling with water?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his pocket.
So I'm gonna go down and check it out. You stay here, alright?
But...
Come on, just do it, alright?
He gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze that hopped onto the elevator. He pushed the E button and the door began to close. June looked worried, her eyes darting back and forth as if she was trying to make a decision, when suddenly...
I'm coming with you!
Huh?
At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors.
Hey, wait!
Junpei jammed his fingers against the open button, but it was too late. I think it's actually really...
It closed!
I'm not gonna lie, I actually think it's very admirable and really adorable that they want to try to stay together through this, honestly. They're becoming a lot closer through this whole situation. Both are trying to survive, but at the same time, both are having the fluttering feelings back for each other. And I think it's actually really admirable that they want to stay together through this whole thing. The door had shut. He and June were in the elevator. It was headed down to E deck. He was so surprised by June that he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on the E deck.
I can't just let you go alone, you know.
Ah, jeez.
She's adorable. I like her. I like her a lot. Her man's going to danger. She's going with him. The elevator stopped and the door slid open. They tentatively stepped out and looked around.
It looks normal.
No fish going about the fish business, or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish. Or at least something that looked like very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out, and her mouth a tiny, intense frown.
Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't flooded.
Oh, oh, just June holding her breath.
Come on, just look around. There's no water here.
June looked around nervously, then exhaled. She's freaking adorable. I love her.
You're right. It's not flooded at all.
See?
But there's a whole lot of water.
Yeah, right on top of us.
What's gonna happen if the ceiling breaks?
Junpei thought about it for a moment.
We'd probably die.
Oh no. Don't be so casual about something like that.
At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we're done looking around down here. Lotus and Santa might already be back.
Okay, good idea.
Now then.
Junpei glanced around the room they found themselves in. The first thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one.
Iron bars. Well, we can't go over there.
Right.
Then maybe...
In the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening.
Well,
He walked up to it and snuck his head around the corner.
it looks like there's a long straight hallway down this way.
Something's written on the door at the end. Wait, is that...
Let's check.
Junpei and June set off down the hallway at a brisk clip somewhere between the run and jog. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6. Ooh, okay, we found another red. We found another red.
I knew it!
This is a numbered door.
And indeed, there was a red bolted to the right wall next to the door.
But we can't do anything with only the two of us.
We better head back and let everyone know.
Yes.
Junpei and June turned and headed back to C deck.
Wait, what's this?
On their way back, Junpei noticed a map on a wall.
Is this the map for E-Deck? I should take it with me.
Good idea.
Huh, so you guys found door 1.
They met back up with Santa and Lotus, who had explained what they found. Apparently, there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that the Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door.
So now we've located 2 new doors, the 6 door and the 1 door.
You know, it is interesting that E-Deck wasn't flooded.
Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought.
Well, we don't really know if all of E-Deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator.
Even so, it's still very interesting.
Well, I mean, probably it's been definitely set up like that to, try to close out the D deck, to try to herd him into the B deck and C deck. But E deck is there open so that maybe they can find another way around.
You said the 6th door was there, right?
Yes.
Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking.
I guess so.
That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost.
It would have been a ton, that's for sure.
Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash.
Or the owner that went and bought the Gigantic, because this has to be the Gigantic.
Yes, it does make sense.
The thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip, while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked a stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing.
Yeah?
I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here.
June looked at Junpei with large, pleading eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already.
Well, Junpei and I should be able to open door 1.
Huh? You guys leaving me behind?
8 plus 6 and plus 15 is 1 9. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1.
Just kidding. All right, let's go.
Lotus' words were all the all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room.
Hey! Where the hell did you guys go?
It was 7.
7?
Ace was right behind them, and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back.
What's wrong?
It looked as though there was something strange about them. Someone had looked at a man who had seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale. Clover looked as though she was only a moment from passing out entirely. For a long moment, they simply stood there, looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. He looked at Seven.
What happened?
What the hell kind of question is that?
Seven was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him hard. His shoulders were trembling and his voice was strained.
Snake is...
Seven couldn't finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, Ace spoke. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and spoke.
Snake is dead. He died, just as the ninth man did.
It was as if all of the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heartbeat quicken, and he realized he was having trouble breathing. Could feel cold sweat beating on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, and Lotus looked the way he felt. All three were frozen in place, their faces white.
Oh my god. That's not true, is it?
We should make sure.
Yeah, right. We should.
They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door.
Wait, not that way.
What? Why not?
They stopped short and turned to look at Seven. He was pointing at the door with no number.
I stuck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way. It's not locked, so you can go in that way.
Where is he?
The shower room. The left side of the hallway. I put a broom in there too to keep the door open.
That means we can get in without going through the numbered door, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then let's go.
Their new destination clear, Junpei and his companions headed for the door with no number. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall.
This wasn't open when we passed here before.
But now, just as Seven had said, there was a broomstick between the door and the frame, keeping it open.
Well, let's keep going.
Looked at it for a moment, stepped inside.
Oh, it smells horrible.
Lotus wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Even Santa pitched his nose shut.
Ugh, yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke.
It was just as bad as I said, perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so thick they could almost taste it. It was sour and smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. It worked its way through Junpei's nose and down his throat to pound against the entrance of his stomach. He put his hands over his mouth and struggled to keep what little was in his stomach where it belonged.
Where is he? Where's Snake?
They didn't have to wonder where the body was.
There.
There was blood everywhere. Few arms and splatter reached toward them as they walked through the door. All one had to do was follow the many radial arms to the swords. The body itself was hidden behind the divider.
June, you should stay here.
But
Please, just do me a favor, okay? Alright?
He didn't give her a chance to say no. Put his hand on her shoulder, as if to shove her into the ground like a tent pole, turned and walked toward the end of the divider.
I'm going in.
It felt like it took an eternity for him to get there. Santa and Lotus followed him, timid and nervous as a pair of children. Chicken. I don't know why I said chicken, I just kind of read it fast. Eventually they reached the divider. Looked at one another and nodded slowly. It says LLR on the wall there. Junpei put his hands on the divider, peered around the corner. For a moment, he forgot to breathe. Felt his heart collapse in his chest like an empty cigarette carton and time froze. He knew in that instant he would take the image before him to the grave. What was left of the body sat in a sea of blood. Chunks of flesh torn from the body sat in blood like tiny islands in the great Red Sea. A vast gagged hole had been torn in the torso, The remainder of his intestines spilled out like fresh spaghetti. Smaller chunks of meat had splattered against the wall, became stuck there as it dried. Globules of yellowish fat had left trails like tiny slugs, and gravity pulled them down the wall even as they dried to it.
Just like Ace said.
Santa's voice was strained. Junpei suspected he was holding down some vomit on his own.
Just like the ninth man. The detonator in his bracelet set off the bomb in his gut.
It looked as though the explosion had been quite powerful.
Oh god. The bone is coming out of his left arm.
It's definitely an open fracture.
His legs were both bent in an odd, unnatural way. His left arm had split open, exposing the painfully white bone of his ulna. Not sure where ulna's at, but his bracelet lay next to him. It seemed to have hit the wall hard enough to have shattered the display, which lay on the ground in pieces.
Oh, the face. It's horrible.
Yeah, you can't even tell who it is.
Half of his head had simply collapsed. The blood coating almost made it look like the raw pizza dough covered in tomato sauce. His clothes, too, were covered in blood. The burgundy tie, the white shirt, the jacket with the yellow piping, and the gray slacks.
But the clothes are...
They were all familiar to Junpei.
No mistake about it. It's Snake.
Lotus' voice was unnaturally deep and strained. Junpei heard it catching her throat. That is... Oh, God. That is... mental. I know I recently started saying the word mental and everything, but when I actually say something is mental, I feel like something is actually freaking mental, like it's so trippy. Oh, jeez. The spooks are actually real here. The spooks are legitimately real right now. Let's keep going. Let's keep going a little bit more. The squeal of torture metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on edge. It didn't help that there were a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. I feel terrible for her. She sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly onto their chest. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the ninth man was.
Sam lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room with Junpei and 7. Ace, Santa, June, and Lotus. Someone looked at each one of them in turn and continued.
It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it. First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3. Then they shoved him into it, alone, and waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was all over for Snake. But he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonator is only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead. Snake was the only one who went through the door, and then 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened.
I see. So that's what you meant by killers, huh? You need at least 3 people to open one of the numbered doors, including Snake. It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer.
Yeah. That means we're looking at multiple perps here.
Jimmy crossed his arms and grunted.
Well, just in case, I want to make sure. Let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed?
When we all split up to look for the parts for the Reds, I think. Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned, looking for those parts.
Yeah. That means anybody could be a killer.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
June seemed shocked.
How can you say that so casually? You're implying that one of us is a killer.
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, then at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven? What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know?
What Zero wants?
Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory.
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
Yes. That is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion. We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship. Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations.
Part of me says, my Danganronpa senses are tingling, and I'm saying I should not be trusting Ace because he's getting so involved into this, like so deeply involved into this, almost like trying to derail the entire train of thought of like who the murderers are to distract us from the whole thing. Another part of me is like, I kind of want to trust Ace. He's like a dad, sort of. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it. I'm sorry.
Then does that mean that the person who killed Snake...
Yes. Almost certainly Zero himself.
It could be, honestly. It really could be that Zero probably would have given him access to go through.
If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero. He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
Good question.
Junpei hadn't really considered
If
that.
Zero killed Snake, then Zero is on the ship with us.
Junpei. Was Zero still on a ship with him? Junpei wasn't sure. Of course. Was Zero still on a ship with him? I'm thinking, yeah, here's my train of thought here. I still feel like that Zero is actually among the contenders, actually. That's what I think is going on, is that Zero is actually among the contenders in the situation. So it has to be, of course. Of course he was. It was obvious.
But I don't...
Zero was someone on the ship, but Junpei had no idea where. Junpei mumbled to himself, lost in thought.
Where could Zero be hiding?
Suddenly, everyone were quiet. The sound was cold and clammy. Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. Again, he heard the ghosting, moaning noise. Moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone.
I think Zero is one of us.
Clover is onto it as well. I like the surprise music that was playing. I was already thinking about it. The music is like ta-dun, dun dun dun. Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of the jailer. But who? Was he one of them? It's a possibility, that's crazy. It's possible?
Well, that's possible.
Huh?
Like Clover said, Zero might be one of us.
What are you saying, Junpei? Didn't you hear what Ace said?
Exactly. I said we shouldn't suspect one another for no reason.
No reason. I've got a great reason.
And what's that?
The bracelets.
He held out his left arm.
Why are the bombs in our bodies connected to the bracelets? You're all thinking Zero's hiding somewhere watching us, right? If he's doing that, then he could just detonate the bombs by remote control if someone did something they weren't supposed to. It would be a lot more precise and a lot easier. But if that's the case, then why is the bomb set off by the detonator in the bracelet?
You got a point.
I'm not done. Try applying the same ideas to the Nonary game. All of the puzzles here run all by themselves. In other words, Zero doesn't have to be controlling them for the game to move forward. Why's that? Why would Zero bother to do something like that?
Junpei let the question hang in the air, looked at the others. It was Santa who answered.
So let's say you and Clover are right. Zero's one of us. If that's the case, then it'd be really hard for him to keep track of all of us or control anything remotely. That's why all the puzzles run by themselves. That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Junpei nodded.
7, when we were talking earlier, you said any one of us could be Snake's killer, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Alright then. I've got a question for you, Ace. You said something like Zero must be the one who killed Snake, right?
Yes, something like that. I can't think of any other explanation.
So what do we get if we combine those? They fit together pretty well, I think. Something like this. Whoever killed Snake is Zero. Hence, Zero is one of us. Seven and Ace's theories aren't mutually exclusive. They actually complement each other pretty well. At least they do if Zero is one of us.
No one spoke. The faces were grim, but Junpei wasn't sure they believed him or not. Finally, Lotus spoke up.
What were his motives?
His motives?
Yes, isn't that pretty important? Why would Zero want to hide as one of us?
Oh, well, that's because...
Junpei choked. He hadn't thought of that. He had to be honest with himself. He had no idea.
I don't know.
Lotus sighed.
Well, so much for making a persuasive argument, Junpei.
In other words, you only had circumstantial evidence.
I don't really think that's enough to go on, you know?
Ah.
We gave it a go. Junpei was painfully aware of their eyes on him and their disapproval. He tried to find something else, anything else to look at. Then, in that horrible silence, they heard a bell begin to ring. It was the clock at the central staircase.
It's 3 in the morning.
That means we have 3 hours left.
Then we need to move now. Seven, Clover, Junpei, I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you?
You're right, but...
Junpei couldn't bring himself to respond. He swallowed the words he wanted to say inside. Seven and Clover remained similarly silent. Their eyes were looking at something somewhere else, very far away.
We must go. We have very little time left.
Ace's words put their feet to moving. They all knew what they were doing, where they were going.
Our next destination is Mercury.
But maybe you and June should check it out first and then report back to us.
All right, let's go, June.
Right. Here it is.
It sat, bolted to the wall near the stairs that led to the casino and the kitchen between the 2 elevators.
The Mercury card reader.
We're using the card 7 gave us, right?
Yeah,
I found it when we were checking out the shower room.
I think Seven said something like that. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Junpei slid the card through the reader. Light on reader turned green and made a tiny electronic noise.
I guess the elevator works now.
Junpei, I know it's only the 2 of us, but let's do our best.
What's with you all of a sudden?
Well, I'm happy we were put together.
See, this is why I think she's absolutely adorable. This is why I love her. While still wanting to stick with her man, she can't help but to be a little bit happy that they're together.
You know it's just for searching E-Deck, right?
Even so, I'm glad I'm with you.
Aww. She's adorable.
First, we need to find out if the elevator comes up full of water.
Just like we did before.
Oh, here it is.
I knew it. It's not wet at all.
Let's go.
Yes.
Once it had been checked for water, Junpei and June stepped into the elevator.
Look! Nearly all of the buttons are destroyed.
Yeah, only the seat and bottom button can be pushed.
We're on C deck right now, so the only one we can choose is bottom.
Yeah. Well, let's try it out.
Junpei hit the bottom button. Door closed. Slowly they began to move downward.
Oh, so this is the bottom deck.
They stepped off and saw the hallway to the right ended somewhere between 20-25 feet from them. The hallway in front of them was a dead end. But not a regular dead end.
Hey, over there.
This is a numbered door.
This is the 8th one we found. There were 2 numbered doors on B deck near the central staircase. They were doors 4 and 5. 3 more in the large hospital room, doors 3, 7, and 8.
and the door we found on E deck, and the door Lotus and Santa found on A deck. It was a 6 on the door on E deck, and a 1 on the door on A deck.
4537861. And now door number 2 stood in front of Junpei.
That means.
Do you think the next door we find?
Yeah, I think so. The next one's gonna be door 9.
Despite himself, Junpei felt excited. There was something about that excitement that frightened him as well.
Finally!
Yeah,
You don't look very happy about it, though.
it's not that. I just hope nothing goes wrong.
You're right. We should keep our fingers crossed.
Let's head back.
Okay.
He did his best to put it from his mind. Head back to C deck with June.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 7 pieces.
And I think this is actually a pretty good time for us to go ahead and actually take a little break, ladies and gents. Oh my god, this game is so good. This game is so freaking good. So we're gonna go ahead and actually wrap up around here, and we'll be back with more of the Nonary games and 9 hours and doors, not versus 9 doors, pretty soon. But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed these episodes in these. Oh, this very tense times that we're in right now. Oh my god, I think we're getting close to one of the endings. I don't know how many routes there are, but I'm pretty certain we'll get to explore all the routes, and I really want to find out every single possible route we have for this game. This game's story, like originally from one end to the other, it's not like Danganronpa where it's just like all linear all the way from one end to the other. It has routes, and because it has routes, the stories themselves are kind of going to be a little shorter than usual, but it should allow us a chance to explore more endings and possibly see what other alternative endings we can get actually for this game. Nevertheless, hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be back soon, very soon, with more of the Nonary games. My name is Thamriyell. Like, subscribe, and as always, have a good day. I'll see you all next episode of the Nonary game. See ya!